Well, good morning, folks, and it is a good morning. Moments ago, standing together with her wife, Cherelle, in the Oval Office, I spoke with Brittney Griner. She's safe. She's on a plane. She's on her way home. After months of being unjustly detained in Russia, held under intolerable circumstances, Brittney will soon be back in the arms of her loved ones, and she should have been there all along. This is a day we've worked toward for a long time. We never stopped pushing for her release. It took painstaking and intense negotiations, and I want to thank all the hard-working public servants across my administration who worked tirelessly to secure her release. I also want to thank the UAE for helping us facilitate Brittney's return, because that's where she landed. These past few months have been hell for Brittney and for Charlie and her entire family and all her teammates back home. People all across the country have learned about Brittney's story, advocated for her release, stood with her throughout this terrible ordeal. And I know that support meant a lot to her family. I'm glad to be able to say that Brittney's in good spirits. She's relieved to finally be heading home. And the fact remains that she's lost months of her life, experienced a needless trauma, and she deserves space, privacy, and time with her loved ones to recover and heal from her time being wrongfully detained. Brittney is an incomparable athlete, a two-time Olympic gold medalist for Team USA. She endured mistreatment and a show trial in Russia with characteristic grit and incredible dignity. She represents the best about America. It is across the board, everything about her. She wrote to me back in July. She didn't ask for special treatment, even though we've been working on a release from the day one. She requested a simple quote, "Please don't forget about me and the other American detainees. Please do all you can to bring us home." We never forgot about Brittney. We've not forgotten about Paul Whelan, who's been unjustly detained in Russia for years. This was not a choice of which American to bring home. We brought home Trevor Reed when we had a chance earlier this year. Sadly, for totally illegitimate reasons, Russia is treating Paul's case differently than Brittney's. And while we have not yet succeeded in securing Paul's release, we are not giving up. We will never give up. We remain in close touch with Paul's family, the Whelan family, and my thoughts and prayers are with them today. They have to have such mixed emotions today. And we'll keep negotiating in good faith for Paul's release. I guarantee that. I say that to the family. I guarantee you. And I urge Russia to do the same to ensure that Paul's health and humane treatment maintained until we are able to bring him home. I don't want any American to sit wrongfully detained and one extra day if we can bring that person home. My administration has now brought home dozens of Americans who were wrongfully detained or held hostage abroad, many of whom had been held since before I took office. And today, we also remember the other Americans that are being held hostage and wrongfully detained in Russia or anywhere else in the world. Reuniting these Americans with their loved ones remains a priority for my administration, every person in my administration involved in this. We're going to continue to work to bring home every American who continues to endure such an injustice. We also want to prevent any more American families from suffering this pain and separation. And I strongly urge all Americans to take precautions, including reviewing the State Department's travel advisories before they travel overseas, which now includes warnings about the risk of being wrongfully detained by a foreign government. Make no mistake about it, this work is not easy. Negotiations are always difficult. There are never any guarantees. But it's my job as President of the United States to make the hard calls and protect American citizens everywhere in the world, anywhere in the world. And I'm proud that today we have made one more family whole again. So welcome home, Brittney. And now I'd like to invite Cherelle to say a few words to you all. Of course, she's not excited at all about this. Cherelle, it's all yours, kiddo. Congratulations again.
Thank you. So over the last 9 months, you all have been so privy to one of the darkest moments of my life. And so today I'm just standing here overwhelmed with emotions, but the most important emotion that I have right now is just sincere gratitude for President Biden and his entire administration. He just mentioned this work is not easy, and it has not been. There's been so many hands involved, and so I'd like to take a moment to just specifically mention a few. Vice President Harris, Secretary Blinken, Jake Sullivan, Josh Geltzer from the National Security Council, Roger Carson and Fletcher Schoen from the Hostage Envoy's Office. A special thank you to Governor Richardson and Mickey, the Mercury players, the WNBA for your advocacy. And also, you guys may not know this, but my family has been tremendously supported by the Wasserman Agency. BG's agent, Lindsay Colas, has just been amazing for me and my family throughout this process. So today my family is whole, but as you all are aware, there's so many other families who are not whole. And so BG's not here to say this, but I will gladly speak on her behalf and say that BG and I will remain committed to the work of getting every American home, including Paul, whose family is in our hearts today as we celebrate BG being home. We do understand that there are still people out here who are enduring what I endured the last 9 months of missing tremendously their loved ones. So thank you everybody for your support. And today it's just a happy day for me and my family. So I'm gonna smile right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Mr. President, what has Russia gotten in return, Mr. President? What has Russia gotten in return for this prisoner swap?
When will Brittney be back in the U.S.?
What has Russia gotten in return, Mr. President, for this prisoner swap?
Next 24 hours.
What did you say to the
You just
Whelan
heard
family?
Cherelle Griner, Brittney Griner's wife, saying that all she can do right now is smile. That
How soon will he be home?
okay. Brittney Griner's wife, Cherelle Griner, was just speaking to us where she said all she can do is smile. Right now, as you see, she feels a state of gratitude, but she also made a point of talking about the Whelan family, that she knows that this is a very difficult situation for them. President Biden also addressed that and said that Paul Whelan has not been forgotten, that the Russians apparently view the Whelan situation very differently than Brittney Griner's. But right now, what we can do right now is celebrate that Brittney Griner is in safe hands. It's only a matter of hours before she will be reunited with her wife, and we are all excited about that. I've spent some time with Cherelle. I know the toll that it's taken on her, that it's taken on Brittney, and it's just so great to have this news to report to you today. Face the Nation moderator, Chief Foreign Affairs Correspondent Margaret Brennan joins us. Margaret?
Well, Gail,
Can you weigh in now on what this all means and what you know?
Well, what the president laid out there was just this one-for-one swap. He did not indicate that there's a broader diplomatic opening with Russia. And remember, Brittney Griner's detention coincided with that really major complication of Russia invading Ukraine. And the low in relations has made these negotiations that much more tangled and difficult to get to this point. And it was just over the past 5 months since that offer was put on the table in July that the U.S. and Russia have gone back and forth. And it was the Kremlin that said in the end, no, we will not release both Americans. We will only release one in exchange for Victor Bout, this arms dealer who clearly was highly valued by Russia, and they will now have him back in their custody. And we are already seeing statements from the family of Paul Whelan, that 52-year-old Marine veteran whose family is saying they are so glad. They do not begrudge Brittney Griner her freedom, but they are pressing the administration to, of course, continue to try to secure the release of their loved one. They did point out that this time the White House did let them know in advance that this swap was going to happen. They don't know yet if Paul Whelan has any idea.
Yeah,
Gail?
delicate process of managing expectations. Margaret Brennan, Margaret, thank you very much. Let's go now to Chief White House Correspondent Nancy Cordes. Nancy, we just heard Margaret mention that the Whelan family was issuing a statement. I think you have it in its entirety. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, it's a pretty emotional statement, Tony. The brother of Paul Whelan, David, starts out by saying that they're so glad that Brittney Griner is on the way home, especially in time for the holidays. Very, very gracious, talking about the fact that the Biden administration made this possible for her. But then the statement takes a turn. He says that the U.S. government did this time let his family know in advance that Paul would be left behind, unlike last April, he says, when they left him there. That early warning, David Whelan says, meant that our family has been able to mentally prepare for what is now a public disappointment for us and a catastrophe for Paul. I don't know, he says, if he's aware yet, although he will surely learn from Russian media. And he expresses concern for his brother's mental health when he finds out about this. Paul Whelan, of course, has been held under punishing conditions for much longer than Brittney Griner had been. He is in a prison camp some 300 miles from Moscow. His family was incredibly disappointed when Trevor Reed came home back in April, and everyone at the White House was well aware that his family would be crushed again when they found out that this was going to be a one-for-one swap, not the two-for-one or two-for-two swap that the White House had been proposing early on. And now we have very public proof of that disappointment.
Yeah, that's a difficult part of the story for sure, Nancy Cordes. But I want to go back to Cherelle Griner, who thanked several people in the Biden administration. I know this story is still unfolding, but can you tell us anything about the roles that people she named, Bill Richardson, Jake Sullivan, Kamala Harris? Can you tell us anything, Nancy, about what you know about the people involved in this swap today?
Absolutely. So there is a task force at the State Department that has been established for the sole purpose of trying to negotiate exchanges, deals to bring home the more than 60 Americans that the White House says are wrongfully detained around the world. And obviously, Brittney Griner was at the top of the list of importance to the Biden administration, but she's not the only hostage that they've been negotiating for. Just last month, 5 Americans who were part of the original Citgo 6 that were detained in Venezuela some 5 years ago. They were released in a similar type of deal that sent a couple of Venezuelans back to South America. And so this is an ongoing process. And this time around, the White House made it clear over the summer that they were seeking this deal. They said it publicly because they said they weren't getting any response from Russia through the normal channels. Over the past 2 weeks, there was a rapid increase in the pace of those talks, and now Brittney Griner is coming home.
All right, thank you so much. Now we'll head over to senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge. She's with us right now. Catherine, what are we learning?
Well, Nate, as all of this has been unfolding, we've been hearing from a number of our contacts, including a former U.S. official who has been familiar with these negotiations. The official told CBS News that the arms dealer Viktor Bout has always been a top priority for the Russian president for two reasons. He's an international arms dealer who was willing to arm not only drug cartels, but also designated terrorist groups, and because of his close relationship with the Russian president. This former U.S. official also told CBS News that they believed, based on the intelligence, that Brittney Griner was deliberately targeted when she was taken hostage, that it was not a coincidence when she was leaving Russia. In addition, we've heard from former DEA agents about this swap, Griner for Viktor Bout, and what they have told us is that they want to see these families reunited, but in this case, it undercuts the rule of law, in their opinion, and sends a very dangerous signal in the future.
Yeah. Catherine, thank you very much.
You're
Definitely a
welcome.
day of celebration for the Griner family, but also concerned people will be monitoring what happens to Viktor Bout. You know, Merchant of Death is one nickname, but Sanction Buster is another, and Vladimir Putin certainly has a lot of sanctions he's trying to get around. Our coverage of Brittney Griner's release, that great news today, it's going to continue on CBS News streaming and your local news, and we will have much more news ahead here on CBS Mornings. This has been a CBS News special report. I'm Tony DeCopel, Gail King, Nate Burleson, all of us here in New York. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
December is Mattress Month at Rooms To Go. Time for our incredible store-wide mattress sale, where right now you can get a king-size mattress for the price of a queen mattress, starting at just $777.